right, moving on to the underbody now, and really not a whole lot. Just gotta do a quick prep, a little bit of surface rust, no big deal. A little bit on the floorboards there. And then there was one hole right there in the floorboard I got to patch. Other than that, this thing is clean it up, prime it, and paint it. But one thing I'm gonna do, this is where the dual exhaust, obviously been done a few times, but just speeder screws run through the floorboard. And since we didn't have to use these body nuts, I'm gonna go ahead and use these things. Make a fairly good sized hole right in here, enough to accept that. And I'm just gonna weld these suckers right to the floorboard. That way there's something solid and you don't have to worry about just using speeder screws through the floorboard. So that should work out real nice. Do one on each side, make it happy, and go from there. Okay, before and after. I'd call this a pretty good fart smell. That those body nuts worked out real nice. Still getting used to my new welder, but that thing's money. But now we got a solid plate to bolt the exhaust hangers to instead of just speeder screwing through the floorboard. And we got our holes filled up, so this is working out nice. So all I got to do now is patch that one hole over in the driver's floorboard, and this thing's good to go. All right. And the only other hole, I was hoping to fill this well, but that ain't happening. I'm gonna go ahead and put a small patch in here, and that'll be it for the whole underbody of this car. It is happy, just clean, prime, and paint. Okay, that should take care of all the holes that needed to be filled in the whole entire underneath of this car. Got a nice little patch panel in there. It'll be just fine. Quick note, got this firewall pretty much gutted here, but one thing I'm gonna do is take and tape this whole connector up so no dirt, because this thing's got some nasty tar, definitely work for corrosion, but if that starts getting dirt in it, then we're gonna have major electrical problems out front. So I'm gonna go ahead and tape that up. That way no dirt will be able to get into that thing and cause way more problems down the road. For being one of the cleanest cars I've ever worked on, as far as rust and body rot, because there virtually is none in this entire car, which I'm so happy to see. But it has got to be one of the dirtiest cars I've ever worked on. Blowing out all these the body cross members and the gas tank members and everything. It has got to be one of the dirtiest cars I've ever worked on. Piles and piles of dirt just keep coming out of this thing, but we're getting down to the bare bones now. There's not a whole lot of dirt left at this point. We've been power washed it twice, steam cleaned it, did everything we could to get it clean without the body off, and that's the main thing, having the body off and everything apart. We're getting it done now. We're about 50% prep. The whole underbody's just about ready. And keep on getting it. Keep sanding, getting it done. And just when you thought you were done, not quite. I have been pulling Mouse House out of this thing for the last, I don't know, 35, 40 minutes. Looks like he figured out he has the Taj Mahal here for him and his family, but this shit just keeps coming out and coming out. We just about got it. I think I got this pocket here emptied, but man, mice are relentless. All this came out of that one pocket in there. So we're just gonna keep moving on, and just know that mice will tear your car to pieces. Check this out. Getting ready to paint this cross member, and heard some rattling inside, so I figured I'd cut a small hole in it, and we're about 95 pounds away from knocking a 10th off our ET, smoky Unix style. They'll never know. Pretty much a fart smell on that one. We got this. One thing I noticed with this thing, how the factory puts this El Camino body back together. This is pretty interesting, but I had to re-seam seal all these joints here, because it either had just like this foam filler between the body seams or just undercoating sealing everything. But I literally could take a pick and run through. There was like a 1/4-inch hole right here that just had that orange foam, and my pick went straight through to the inside, and where the foam had failed over time. So I went ahead and re-seam sealed all these joints. That just had undercoating all the way through. And then up here where the luggage compartment meets the bed there, it just had that orange foam. It was kind of squeezed in between those two pieces of metal, and then it looked like they just spot welded through the sealer. So I went ahead and got all that out and re-seam sealed this whole luggage compartment. And this side too, same thing over here. It went right through, my pick went right through to the inside. So everywhere I got seam sealer here, water can get in if it's not sealed good. And now the wheel well is completely sealed. So all the water will run off instead of any chance, because there was a couple spots where water was getting in. So we went ahead and did that, and then once we paint the inside, I'm gonna re-seam seal the whole inside too. So that should work out good. We're getting ready for some paint here. All right, we're gonna start with this internal frame coating. We use this on the actual frame itself, and that seemed to work pretty good with that tube. Goes up in the box part of the frame, and it's got this 360-degree nozzle that you spray. But we're gonna go ahead and use this on all the cross members and the gas tank members and everywhere that can't really get to with a spray gun. And then inside the quarters too, actually, down here at the bottom, and then over here behind this here. So we're gonna go ahead and start with that. See how this turns out and keep moving forward. Then we're gonna prime everything. All right, it's paint day. Yesterday we got the internal frame coating done, and then went and put this rust encapsulator. It's kind of heavy duty primer that coats rust on any place underneath that had any surface rust. So we're good there. That was yesterday. Marshall and I scuffed the hole underneath of this car this morning, and we're getting ready to throw some primer on this thing. But one cool thing, Rick Martin, he was gracious enough to lend us this vertical paint gun. So we're gonna go ahead and use this to do the priming and the paint work underneath this thing. And this should be night and day from trying to keep a regular spray gun from kicking. So we're getting ready to start lay our primer on this thing, and we'll see how it turns out. All right, we got the hole underneath of this thing primed up. It's happy, very happy. Got a few runs, but like Rick Martin said, there wasn't a painter in the world that never had a run, so we're good there. We got our heated spray booth here. If you see behind me, we got the spray booth going on, half a spray booth anyway. And we've been cooking this thing. We're about almost 88 degrees inside the garage now. That's been the last 3 hours. They say you gotta let the primer cure for 6 hours. We speeded up the cook time. Old Rick Martin be proud of this one. But we got our heater. We're getting ready to throw some paint on this thing. And then we got our downdraft spray booth here, redneck style, to take all the fumes out. and keep the dirt level down. So we're getting ready to throw some paint on this thing. If you look up here, it's all primed up. Happy, no worries here. And it feels like it's ready for paint. So we'll see what happens. Well, let's just get to it and throw some paint on this thing and call it done. Here it is. We have the finished product. Hole underneath is painted. Got more runs than a Boston Marathon, but it's all good. It's underneath the car, so you can't really see it. I can see it, but it is what it is. No worries. That's why God made underbodies, so people like me could have a little bit of practice with a real spray gun. But as far as that goes, this thing is happy. She's clean. She's protected, all one color. And the progress of a true clean driver is coming together. Everything's good here. One thing, this is the Eastwood satin paint, and I expected it to actually be more satiny. This almost looks like gloss paint, but I'm not worried about it. I was just hoping we painted the frame in actual gloss, and I was hoping to have a little bit of contrast between the body and the frame, but it's all good. No big deal. We are basically done with the hole underneath. All's good there. And then the firewall, we painted all that up. All's happy there. So we are moving along. Finally, this thing is actually starting to come together and look like something. And all the hard work, the progress is coming together. And there's only one other thing I'm going to show you in a second that we got to do before we bolt the body back on the frame. And the only other thing we're going to do this thing, which I've been debating since the beginning, just in the time frame, trying to get everything done, but it needs to be done. Any legitimate hot rodder that sleeps at night knows this needs to be done, and we're going to box this frame in. It needs to be boxed. All the things I've seen online, when you start putting horsepower and especially torque to these frames, they just twist like pretzels. So we're going to box this in, and it's actually a little bit longer on this side open than it is on this side. So we're going to box that in and do the control arm connectors from here to here. Because anytime you put torque, serious torque to a rear end, that thing's just trying to rip itself clean out of the frame. So we're going to tie this in, do the boxing, and then bolt this body back on the frame and sleep good at night. So we're going to go from there. But before then, we got some good stuff coming up, and let me tell you about that in a second. But before then, We have, Rick, it's time, man. We're going to go ahead and do your transmission. Thank you, by the way, for that spray gun. That thing was the shit. And we got the whole underbody of the El Camino done, and it's just about ready to bolt back on the frame. But before then, we're going to do your E4OD. And I've been saying I can't wait. It's time. Let's do this thing. And we're going to transition into transmission land and do a couple build videos on Rick Martin's E4OD 1994 Ford Lightning. And this thing's going to be badass. And we're going to make this thing right and tight and get that thing built. It'll be sitting on a bench. My plan is, Rick, we're going to build that thing, have it sitting on a bench, all looking pretty and nice, ready to go. I'll box the frame, bolt the body back on, and then you bring your truck up, and we're going to do the R&R. And we may even do a video on the R&R of that thing. We'll see how it all turns out, but that is my plan, and we're going with the plan at this point because plans always change. I was hoping to have the body back on the frame, but no big deal. I want to get a little bit more done on that frame as far as boxing before we bolt it on. But Rick's been waiting for 8-9 months. Heck, I don't even know how long it's been at this point, but the patience of a stone lion. So it's time to do it, and we're going to build this transmission. Time to get back into that a little bit, kind of mix it up a little bit and go from there. But stick around. I want to thank all you guys for watching. This has been an interesting project, and it is coming together. It just takes time, patience, and work. But look at that pretty thing. Oh, she's happy. I can't wait to drive this thing and do a smoky burnout too. So we'll talk to you soon. Next video, we'll be starting the E4OD, and it's going to be awesome. Take care. See you soon.